or maybe good afternoon. We're close to noon time. My name is Samir again. Thank you for being here today. I'll try to keep it more interactive. We all know talent acquisition is such a tight labor across the globe, and finding talent is something that every enterprise wants to master it and find ways to find the best talent at the most, the fastest time, most reasonable price points, and I think it's just something that I want to bring it up. There are so many innovations happening. There are so many point solutions out there, at different regional specific to global platforms. But I wanted to bring it up, my version of what are the top 6 things that's changing the way talent acquisition happening in the industry today. As we said, we have seen clients across 14 different countries. CPAL has been deployed with 2,000 enterprises, in almost 80% of them recruiting staffing companies, over 10% of them global enterprises. So we have seen many versions of why speed matters in talent acquisition. The reason is, let's look into the total acquisition life cycle today, right? So what happens is curating the talent that we would need for our future transactions, like we call pipelining, right? How do we create a pipeline? And then how do you find what's the best talent that's out there with us in our pipeline? And how fast the speed can we reach out to those candidates, and then how fast and speed can we onboard the candidates? SIA talks about if you are a sourcing organization or internal or external sourcing organization, if you are not fast enough or identifying a suitable candidates within 4 to 8 hours, you would miss the boat. If you are a service organization, somebody else will find the candidate if speed is not your forte. Or if it's an internal organization, then you are going against the KPIs that you're competing with other internal talent acquisition finders, so talent partners. The speed is everything. Speed in identifying, speed in creating a pipeline, speed in identifying a suitable match, speed in engaging and reaching out to the candidates, engaging the candidates, onboarding the candidates, all about the speed. So there are 6 innovations that we have seen happening in the market today. So I will briefly talk about those. And then there are more too. I'm not just saying these are just the 6. There are a lot more. But this is something that's happening in the market. A lot of clients that we have seen getting excited about it. Number 1 is integrated candidate sourcing. This is actually a simple solution to the problem that we all know about it. So I'll go back to the next one. So if you look into this, right, if we are an enterprise, what are our sources of getting talent today, right? Through our internal recruiting teams, we have suppliers sourcing the talent internally, and we also have people submitting their resumes through career page, then employee referrals happening through it. Then we have paid job portals. We all know that. We subscribe to these job boards. Then a lot of walk-ins happens too around, right? So, but if you see these different sources in a typical organization, even today, we talk about so much of tech revolution. We talk about metaverse and great aspects of it is. But if we actually get to the reality of the world, these sources are not integrated, not well connected to it. If you don't integrate it, don't well connected to it, it's how you're going to really find what kind of talent you have it. Quite often, job boards are managed, used by the recruiters. They have their own, those sourced candidates in their email chains, and then HRs get this career page candidates. Like, how do we integrate? How do we find them? So the tech that integrates and source all of those into, like, we call it as talent container, like single source database of candidates. So if you can able to connect those sources intelligently, tag those candidate sources and put them into one single data container, and then you could use those container there are a lot of artificial intelligence, machine learning algorithms built on top of those single data container can basically find who are those candidates and can find those things. So it's a simple concept, but we have seen 90% of organizations are not well organized, not well connected, and there is a huge leakage of it, right? Like imagine we every year subscribe to these job portals. The amount of money we spend on it, but we don't get integrated to those job portals efficiently. So then it's like a perpetual cycle, right? You keep every year you subscribe, you keep go on, but there is no intelligence built into it or create a one single source of candidate database. So the amount of lack of efficiency, the amount of money we lose not able to curate and take advantage of these existing internal data sources is a key thing. And just having this in place, we have seen the corporations reduce their total spend on talent acquisition, just having a simple concept like this. So if there's a tech happening around, how do we integrate these sources efficiently and build intelligent tags and build some tech built on top of that, it would actually a kind of a game changer in creating not only the current need, but also future needs of the talent. I go back here, this marketing CRM. This is not a customer relationship. I'm talking about candidate relationship management. So it's basically how to manage the candidates. This comes into every aspect of the talent acquisition lifecycle. I'm talking about candidate onboarding. We talk about. Do you know the stats talks about almost 15 to 20% of candidates drop out just because they have such a bad experience in onboarding. Somebody else has a better aspect of it. So you build the CRM on top of your onboarding system. You build on top of your candidate engagement. First you identify somebody as suitable candidates, but how do you reach out to those? The way we reach out to them, the way we engage the candidates makes a big difference in improving our efficiency in talent acquisition system, right? So initiate a workflow, like finding some automation in the workflows, like as soon as system identifies candidates or to onboard, how to keep up simple reminders for the candidates, either missing documents or missing HR discussions, any of such things you can automate it, like send an email, integrate the whole thing in with WhatsApp. Like all of us use WhatsApp. So simple WhatsApp integration to the onboarding, it makes a big difference in onboarding, in a candidate experience. So there are so many of things that can be done in the CRM space. Again, sending automated emails, creating tasks for, I'm just keep referring onboarding because it's just one of the many applications you can do it. Prioritizing tasks and setting reminders in the tasks within the system makes a huge difference. And again, obviously sending SMSs, either third-party tools or integrated SMS messaging platforms, or you can just use a free WhatsApp. There is a WhatsApp for Business. It's very efficient. We have customers, large enterprise. We have 2,000, 3,000 recruiter. And there are a couple thousand suppliers use very efficiently WhatsApp for Business. So some of those things really enhance the candidate experience in onboarding your own candidates or also onboarding your supplier temp workforce as well. And this third one, Chatbot for candidate engagement. I will actually, the simplest way to explain it, I'll walk you through these steps. I think you'll understand. You are a hiring manager, you create a job description. And then what goes to, we talk about, if you remember, we talk about talent container. So let's say, assume that we have created this single talent container source. We integrate all the sources, and we have all our candidates, either internal, current, or prospect candidates into one database. Assume that you have it today. And then you built on the search platforms, the algorithms and the tools. So what happens is, if you integrate that with either, let's say your system is integrated with WhatsApp or your chatbots. There are a lot of point solutions out there that can be integrated into chatbots. What happens in this case, you identified a candidate. Let's say, for an example, you have this talent container, right? You have all the candidates, and then you deployed this AI search and rank algorithm. So what it does is it searches, you have, let's say, 100,000, 1 lakh candidates, and finds those top 10 most suitable candidates for the job you're actually searching today. And then system would basically, either you could send messages to the candidates through WhatsApp, or maybe you have you deployed a bot in the system, Chatbot. And then basically what happens is you could, let's say you want to pre-qualify candidates. Like you have like 4 or 5 basic questions. Okay, do you like this pay annual salary package? Or do you like to engage candidates either in-house or work from home options? Like we talk about a lot these days. And then you talk about specific qualifying criteria like primary skills. So we don't have to have a recruiter engaged to do actually pre-qualifying questions. The bot can engage some of those basic qualifying questions and then ask you and keep those conversations, all the information, and send it to the recruiter hiring manager before recruiter even finding a time to talk to the candidates. So that is a powerful way of getting information and engaging the candidates before even recruiter talks to the candidates. So if you have a tech platform that engages this workflow, imagine the speed that comes into it, right? And by the time you upload you created a job before you go home, and by the time you come back, before noon, you have a select candidates. Maybe there are some candidates already replied to you and have their information at the recruiter before make the first call to the candidates about their engagement. So this is something that happening in the industry. We have seen it, companies successfully delivering at a mass scale this candidate engagement. Again, finding candidates or email, getting a response from candidates through emails, picking up your phone call. Those are very low level of finding the candidates. So this is something that very conversational, very engaging, and those are a much faster way to get information. Also, they create that experience to the candidate that, okay, I really like the way this company engages and interacts with us, and that just creates the whole experience. So this is very advanced, and a lot of companies, companies who actually adapt the technology are benefiting from chatbot conversations on candidate engagement. And this can be applied in many other whole life cycle of it. Even this can be applied to candidate onboarding. Like a lot of times we go back and forth. In a typical day, HR manager make 4 or 5 different calls because either you're missing a document or you're missing an information, all of that. Imagine if the bot continues to engage the candidates, try to get the information. There's a way to upload the document, send it back to the HR. It's such a seamless and also becomes very efficient back office operations. And this is another one, the fourth. So again, 5 years ago, this is a new concept. Today, some of the searching algorithms are very sophisticated and advanced in the market. For an example, just to give you, so let's say you have a talent container, you are sourcing all kinds of candidate candidate list into one single container. You have this algorithm, right? So what happens is, for an example, I'll give you how these search algorithms work, right? Typically, what we look for, a recruiter or hiring manager build a search string, right? If you have a database or you go to Naukri and other places, you build a search string. So basically, what you look for typically was, the skills, you have it, and the location the candidate is available. Some of the times, even the relevance to the industry, like you want somebody hired from the financial analyst from the banking industry. So you want to find somebody who has a prior experience in the banking. So you want to find such. So you can build all kinds of things. Then the algorithm can build the search string on its own and identify and searches your database and finds you, and it also ranks by relevance, right? I'll give you an example. A lot of times, somebody has experience in, I'll give an example in the IT space. Somebody worked in, a web developer 10 years ago. Today, they're not web developers anymore. They're IT managers, or even worse, they're not even in the same IT industry. So, but when you search the somebody's candidate resume database, it pops up because somebody worked in that skill set 10 years ago. Today, it's not relevant. There's also, you can find the relevance algorithm. So bots can go back and the algorithms go back and find is this person has an experience in this technology or the platform in the last 2-3 projects. So that's called relevance, right? Then it ranks the relevance based on, okay, this person maybe has an experience in 10 years ago, but not today. It ranks lower. So it doesn't pop up in top 5, top 10 list of candidates. So there's so much innovation that happens here. You can find the best candidates in almost a fraction of a minute. So once you have a list of candidates, then you can pick top 5, and then you could actually engage the bot saying, okay, as soon as the system identifies these 5 candidates, let's start send SMS message or a WhatsApp conversation and start engaging with the candidates. So this is something that a game changer for companies, because especially the speed. We talk about the speed here, right? The speed to engage the candidates, speed to identify and engage the candidates. The faster, the more accurate you can do it, the more chances that you can find the best candidates. If you are a service organization, you can actually find those candidates and submit to the client much faster. So again, this is something that humans can't compete with the machines, and this is something, some of these things can be automated and taken advantage of it. What cannot be automated is that human-to-human interaction, the H2H, right? Human-to-human interaction is something that you need more time. So if you take a typical recruiter a day, they spend 60 to 70% of their time in searching, finding, and trying to reach the candidates. And they only have 30% of time to really actually have any chance to engage with the candidates. So imagine if that's been automated more efficiently than a human, then you have so much time to actually engage with the candidates. So not only you have a better candidates, because this is much faster computing power, but you have more time to engage with the candidates. That's where the speed and the engagement and the whole experience of the candidates is a big game changer for companies. Again, end of the day, our talent universe is same. All of us either, and I'm talking about the India continent here, right? All of us have access to Naukri. Everybody wants to get into the Naukri. Everybody is probably into Monster, or maybe they have their own hiring, campus hirings to the walk-ins. But the pool is exactly the same. But who finds the faster, more accurate, are what makes the difference? Because imagine if a recruiter not able to find the accurate candidates, you're trying to reach the candidate who's either not their primary skills, or the work location is not near to the home or not in the same city. If your candidates keep reaching such candidates in a larger scale, you're actually already losing the candidates. And don't they know that I don't have the skills? It's not my interest. And so those kind of things that can be automated and filtered more efficiently than humans. And this can be, if it's an IT organization or a staffing firm, you can do a placement predictions analysis, right? This is another tech out there that can give you a lot of analysis. For an example, I'll just give you, this is an easy flow to understand, but I will also give you how this whole thing works, right? If you're a large organization, if your hiring is a cyclical hiring, right? Like, you hire, July through September, more hires than other quarters of the year. The system actually can predict what type of hires you are doing it last 3 years, then it'll start recommending you. More importantly, let's say you hired 100 candidates last year, then you want, for a certain skill set of candidates, and system actually can start building a pipeline for you. They call, the candidate pipelining through, resume harvesting. There's a feature called resume harvesting that you actually can connect with Naukri and other places, identify and keep creating that pipeline, because your system predicts that you have certain hires that you did last 3 years, and this is a need for you. So it's just kind of creating that intelligence and building that pipeline for you is another game changer, because again, it's speed here, right? The more access to the relevant candidates at the right time makes a huge difference for all of us, to be successful in finding that talent that we need for whatever the projects you want to deliver, or you want to supply those talent to our customers. Again, here, same thing. There's another thing it also talks about. We have seen a use case with few of our customers is, some of those skills are very hard to find, or maybe they're very expensive, or both in combination, right? And also hit rate, like basically, if you interview 100 candidates, you find probably 1, 2 candidates. The hit rate is very low, like 1 to 5%. Then you have, but it's a very high profitable business. But you want to find a higher probability of the hit rate. So what happens is you could actually, the algorithm can build around saying, what are the characteristics that made this candidate getting accepted by the hiring manager? So it can find the attributes of the skills, the candidate's industry that came from. A lot of times we look for, okay, you know what, I like somebody in Gurgaon and work for a Deloitte, I'm just saying, don't use the name, and from this department have very high chance of getting success you can pretty much target some of those kind of attributes of a candidate, and then curate the talent, and then use the talent to to make the hiring process easier. So this is systems can give you those kind of predictions. Okay, here is your ideal candidate that has been shortlisted, lost 10 times, lost 5 times, and then find those candidates and then apply those things. We call it mirroring. So you mirror the candidates, and then you would actually can able to find better candidates much faster within the pool. Or at the least, your system will tell you, okay, you don't have enough candidates in the pool. Then you know that you have to go back either through job boards or through your campus hires or the walk-ins or whatever the medium that you go back and redo those things and build a pipeline. And the last one, the sixth one, is the Omnichannel Communication System, right? So think of you engaging a candidate either through emails. We send emails. We send WhatsApp messages. We send text messages, right? And we make phone calls. But your system is not integrated to some of these things. A lot of times we have recruiters, the hiring managers, right? They leave the organization. What happens? They have any conversation with any of those potential prospective candidates that you have in your system is completely lost. So you are redoing it again, right? What happens is another recruiter reaches out to those candidates that you have in the database and asks the same set of questions over and over again. The candidate gets frustrated. Like, I already gave this information. Why are you guys keep asking us and over again? So you have this system get integrated to your core ATS or your talent acquisition platform. You already have the data that out there that you actually can go through, type of candidate, you got the list, then you can see the whole history that happened with who contacted, what was the information collected, and when was that the conversation that happened. You have all that information, and imagine the recruiter calls the candidate saying that, hey, so-and-so recruiter, we spoke to you, we have this information, I have this new opportunity for you, would you be interested into it? I mean, you're already creating that impression that, wow, these company and these recruiters remembered my conversation. You already created a positive impact on the candidates. It makes a big difference. But if you don't have this omni-channel communication system, you are completely out of sync. Then basically that's where we lost the candidates because they just been poached or asked the same set of questions over and over again. And that's very typical scenario we have seen in many corporations. My last thing, I know time's up. This is another thing that CPAL integrates. We integrate with our ProcureWise. We know typically if you're a large organization, you have full-time through our recruiters that use for full-time hires, but you have a large set of suppliers through your procurement system. But I mean, quite often HR and your procurement teams don't talk each other. But because it's a tight labor market and talent acquisition is, we call it talent. The talent is the gold. If you don't curate rightly, don't integrate rightly, you're missing a lot of money on the table. So we said, okay, the way to do it is you integrate these two systems, but bring this talent across the board. For an example, if you have a job, then your recruiters find 2 potential prospective candidates at the same time. Your suppliers send you another 2 other candidates. Open the job, you have 4 candidates. It identifies recruiter, internal recruiter, supplier, internal supplier, and ranked by 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you are actually combining all sources into one single system. It's also a game changer, especially because you want to integrate all sources into one single sourcing platform. Then you can take advantage of it. end of the day, all we're trying to do is we're speeding up our talent acquisition process. We're making our systems more efficient, intelligent, and ultimately we're reducing our total cost of talent acquisition process. So I hope you enjoyed. If you find some information, be happy to share this presentation with all of you. I'm happy here for any questions. And with the time limitation, that's all I have.